After spending at least the last week insisting against all reason and rationality that the Strait of Hormuz isn't our problem, why would the US do anything about that? That's for like the UK and Spain to take care of. All of a sudden today, Donald Trump is talking about it as if, no, in fact, it actually might be something that we should do something about. So before we get to what he said earlier today, let's just be clear by running back over the record of how many times he has declared that it's not his problem. Take a look.
The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it and we don't need it. We've beaten and completely decimated Iran. They are decimated, both militarily and economically and every other way. And the countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on.
I don't like that he talks about the Strait of Hormuz the way, best case scenario, he talks about the way he treats American flags, and worst case scenario, women who aren't interested in him. But anyway, it is our problem since, we started the goddamn war. One would think we're the ones who should secure the Strait of Hormuz. Also, like if you believe, or if he believes what he says about we don't get oil through the Strait of Hormuz, like the countries of the world that get oil through the Strait of Hormuz are the countries of the world, because that's how the global oil market works. You dumbass, you are a gargantuan moron. He either knows nothing about how the international global oil market works, or he's hoping that you don't. He's hoping you're a stupid peasant that he can continue to play and con. But anyway, he also said at one point, maybe we don't even need the UK, don't even need Spain or France. It'll just solve itself. Take a look.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty, we have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before, should have done it with us as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing and the gas prices will rapidly come back down.
Again, if we're not getting oil from them and only like the UK is or Madagascar or whatever, why are we paying $1.15 more per gallon than we were before the war? That's not a rhetorical question, moron. I want an answer to it. I want you to learn something. Google oil and how it works. But anyway, and the idea that after all of this, Iran's just gonna be totally cool with the Strait and they're not gonna ever exert any sort of pressure over it when they want something is ridiculous. But don't worry, all of that's being set aside. That was like 3 days ago. He's not gonna be held to something he said 3 days ago. Now he's saying this, with a little more time, we can easily open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for the world. And at the same time, I don't know what that means. But also, I think I do, and I don't like, this is a news show. I don't like, do you know, Trump, how uncomfortable you're making Ben Shapiro with your imagery? Don't do that to him. So anyway, yeah, no, we could just take it easily. I mean, I know we haven't tried, even though they're decimated. We're not trying to secure it, even though it's easy for the UK to do it. Weird, the disconnect between those two statements, but we can easily do it, and then we take the oil. What do you mean? You're just gonna try to jack every ship that comes through? That's not how it works. If you wanna take their oil, you're talking about invading and conquering Iran. Again, that's what he's hinting at after saying that the war would be done in just a couple of weeks. That's how we would make a fortune. Anyway, Yaz, what is the gusher thing about?
Ew. I hate the gusher thing. I don't love the way he speaks about oil. I wish that he would like just use different language, because as a woman, it just makes me very uncomfortable the way he speaks sometimes. But like, I don't know what he thinks, like how he thinks he's fooling the American people, right? And maybe he is, right? Maybe the people who are so loyal to him and who have been following him and voting for him in the last 3 elections, maybe those people are like, oh, I guess we've won. I guess we've decimated Iran. And for some reason, that's supposed to be a good thing, even though my own president can't exactly tell me why or how, right? Just that I guess they were a nuclear threat, and I guess we need all their oil, and we can just take oil. The same way we just took all the oil from Venezuela, even though the oil in Venezuela was really our oil, even though it was in Venezuela, right? But it's also, John, it's not just about how the global markets work, right? It's also how geography works. And he acts as though no one has ever seen a map before, right? He acts as though he has never seen a map before. We don't just get oil from places like Venezuela or even from our own fracking. The United States is not energy independent because of fracking and things like that. There's a reason why the United States is so allied with and beholden to Israel. There's a reason why we have so many military bases in the Middle East. There's a reason why there's always constant instability in the Middle East. And it is in large part because the United States needs access to the oil that is in the Middle East, specifically in Saudi Arabia and places like Iran, or I'm sorry, also in places in the Middle East, right? And places like Iran, they barricade the access to that. And like, there's just no other way around it. That just is the facts. That is just what's happening. And for him to say like, I started this war and I'm sorry that created inconveniences for all of the rest of you, but you need to figure this out now. It's unbelievable. And if I was in another country, I would be livid right now. I live in this country and I'm livid because all of my money is going to this. But even John, like, let's say he pulls out of everything right now. And again, I don't love the imagery of any of this, but let's say he pulls out of Iran right now. And
don't do that.
And let's say that is what happens, right? At the end of the day, we will end up in the exact same place that we were when we started, and everything will have cost so much more money. It's just like the best case scenario is that we have spent billions of our own tax dollars on all of this and have gained nothing for it. And that's looking like the most likely outcome, unless we have another situation like Vietnam where they just keep throwing things into this quagmire that they know they can't win just because they can't say we lost.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I regret some of it, but yeah, no, it's a great point. And by the way, you mentioned Venezuela. Remember, we took their oil. We took it. You've gotten your shipment of oil, right? Comes every week, depending on where you live. Mine comes on a Thursday. I just get 1 barrel of oil, and that's why it's so easy to drive to work. No, we didn't get anything. We didn't get anything. And we're paying way more for gasoline than we were before. We're paying way more for fossil gas than we were before. We didn't get anything. Presumably some rich a-holes got something. I guess people like Scott Bessent and his buddies, those who eat caviar with him, they're doing well, I suppose. I didn't get that. Remember we took all the gold from, have you gotten any gold? Did you get a necklace? A pinky ring?
Did
you
get? But no,
I didn't get any old gold. In fact, I'm beginning to think I don't think I'm gonna get any Iranian oil either. Weird. I don't think I'm gonna get any of those minerals from Ukraine. As we rape and pillage the world, I'm not getting much.
You know, that's the question: is who did get the Venezuelan oil? Where are all these resources? Where are they going? Who is hanging on to them? Where's the Fort Knox that is, you know, Trump is building his ballroom, so.
There's a lot of great questions, fundamental questions that I don't think anyone can answer. You remember how Donald Trump was gonna take $10 billion for the Board of Peace? Let me ask you a question about that. Did he? I don't know.
I don't know.
Does anyone know? Does Congress know?
No.
I don't know. But anyway, we do have other details on the Strait of Hormuz, so I should probably move to those. We've got more insult to injury to Donald Trump from Iran when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. First of all, so he was telling all these other countries, you deal with it, whatever. We knocked this down, we created all this chaos, we started the fire, but you fix it. Well, some of them it looks like might have, because one French and one Japanese container ship have made it through the strait. France's was the first Western vessel to actually go through the strait since the war began, and it wasn't fired on. It kind of looks like they made some sort of deal. We don't know specifics. We don't know if it's the result of government diplomacy or negotiations by companies and their intermediaries, like directly with Iran, but they're getting their ships through, which is interesting. We're not. We're not benefiting from that. We'll see. Maybe, with the oil getting into the global oil market, it'll still help a little bit. I don't know. But I do know that for right-wing media, some, at least the traditional Fox News, they want Trump to really step things up and escalate the war by taking direct control of the Strait, which, as we will describe, will be quite consequential. But here is Brian Kilmeade.
The only reason why Iran is surviving this war is because of the Strait. The Iranians think that is it. If they can hold the Strait, they win. And we can't leave without opening up that Strait. There's no scenario where we leave this operation the next 2 to 3 weeks and we say, let them open it up and can consider it successful. There's just no way. They're now getting millions of dollars in tolls to help them survive from other countries that have to prove their worth and that they're not collaborating with us in order to get through. We can't allow that.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. It's almost something that maybe Trump and Hegseth should have realized was inevitably going to happen. Oh, sorry, they were told that it was going to happen. In fact, Raisin Cain told them some of this stuff. They just didn't care. And so if we do what Lindsey Graham wants, what Mark Levin wants, what Brian Kilmeade wants, we will at the very least land troops to try to take Karg Island, if not the Iranian mainland. And apparently during all of this time where Trump is, I think, really pathetically and shallowly trying to pretend that that's not going to happen, as if Iran then won't prepare. They are preparing. They're hardening their defenses on Karg Island, including boosting guided missile systems, laying mines along the coastline, and booby trapping facilities. That was one of the main things I was worried about a couple of weeks. Apparently, they are doing that. They're also carving tunnels into many of the islands, which Iran is preparing to defend with missiles and other munitions. And so, if we land our troops, we should expect that we're gonna lose a whole hell of a lot of them, and that's just Karg Island. And the deaths won't just be on Karg Island. Iran is saying that if we try to take the island, they're gonna expand to target offshore oil platforms in the region, potentially hitting infrastructure like power plants and desalination facilities. And I know what you're thinking. Wouldn't those be war crimes? And I would say yes. Whether they do it or whether we do it, it is in fact a war crime, so we should stop promising to do it. So anyway, we're gonna get to a little bit more of what Donald Trump has been taking credit for. But yeah, as I'm sure you're aware, Iran has a large domestic military, something like close to 200,000 members of the Revolutionary Guard, something like 1 million total members of their armed forces. And I have no doubt that ours is better equipped, better trained, all of that. But that's still a whole lot of people prepared, I think, to defend their homeland if we were to invade. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're mobilizing even more people. They're enlisting more people to join the army. And as I said earlier on the show, and this is, it just is such an important point, is that they have a reason to fight. Right? They're the ones defending their homeland. We, the American military, the members of our military right now don't know what they're fighting for. And whatever they understand to be fighting for is not good enough. They're not defending anything. They're not defending democracy. They're not defending their home. All of these things is just a completely made up thing that came out of the Trump administration and from Israel, and arguably even from past administrations who were continually peddling this idea that Iran was going to destroy us one day, eventually. And the other thing is, Karg Island, they're focusing on Karg Island, and perhaps it is of some strategic benefit, but really, is it worth everything that it would cost? It's arguable that it is not, right? It's right there. It's right before you hit the strait. It's an island in the Gulf, and it's the Iranians are already there. They're already fortifying it. The lives that it would cost to try and take this island, and then what would we get for it? They're not really sure. They're not really saying. But then on top of that, even on the Iran mainland, it is a very, very treacherous terrain, right? There's mountains everywhere, and these are not cute mountains. These are not like the mountains that they hiked over at the end of The Sound of Music. These are like craggly mountains. It's very dangerous. And we know what happens whenever you send a foreign army into an unknown geography, something like that, that's very treacherous. We've never won a war that way. Yeah. So it's why don't we learn from our past mistakes? I have no idea. But at this point for Trump, it doesn't seem as though he even understands that he has the option to just stop what he's doing. And again, even if he did stop, it would have already cost us so much money and lives.
If Donald Trump had to accompany the forces, if Pete Hegseth did, they would learn their lesson real fast. They would not. There would be no ground invasion.
Why would
if
they do
had
that?
Well, exactly. That's why. Why would we learn a lesson? Trump's never going to pay for it. By the way, you know who seems to understand how absolutely disastrous a ground invasion would be for their soldiers? Israel, which is why they've already said that they will take part in none of this. And you might think, oh, well, you know, it's a tiny little country. How many soldiers could they possibly have in their army anyway? Including reserves, over 600,000.
Yeah.
And they will be sending 0 when it happens.
And they're required to do military service over there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Everyone's trained. Everyone knows how to do it, but it's just for show. It's just for fun. We have a military, but we don't like to use it, at least not for something like this. Let's just use the Americans instead, because they will, they already have Trump. He's gonna send all of my money over there, all of our weapons and all of our people over there. And our people do not wanna go, and they're protesting in the military.
Yeah, 100%.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.